Welcome to Amiga Ireland. It's the 4th of October, and today we've got a lot of interesting stuff to cover. In the news, we'll be looking at big new hardware and software releases, among other things. There are new Amiga and C64 game releases that we'll cover in the game section, and we've got some discoveries, including the mystery of Amiga.com. And we have our usual events, Ask Amiga and music. So, going, Luke, how are you doing?
I'm pretty right, thank you very much. I've recently received David Pleasance's book, and I've started reading it, and I must say, it's pretty interesting, you know? I'm usually very skeptical when it comes to reading someone's memoirs, but up till now, I'm pretty surprised. It's a pretty interesting book. I can suggest reading it to everyone who's interested in the history of Commodore.
Cool. Rob, how are you doing?
All right, I was away for a few days there. I was in Centre Parks, which is a great little all-in-one thing. You know, one of these things that, you know, happens when you have a family. But it was fantastic, and by God, it's a well-oiled machine they run. You know, it's just Longford at the moment, so you get your first one in Ireland now in the next year or two.
Oh, very good.
As free as you can have holiday kids, I think. You know, my son is 15 months now, and you know, he was loving it. Great.
Well, I was in an unusual situation last week where I had to repair a Dell Inspiron where the Wi-Fi went because of a bad date. And the only way I could actually do it was to use the Amiga 1200, which was really surreal because it wasn't like the phone would have been better and I did use the Amiga for the crack of it or anything. I needed to use the Amiga, I needed the IRC channel, I needed to get to and stuff. Do the whole process on the Amiga 1200, get the advice in the IRC channel, open the link, get the browse, get the code I needed to change in Grub, and go and log in and do it that way. So I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So that made my month.
That's awesome. I've done similar myself in the past as well for downloading network drivers.
Great, congratulations.
Yeah, excellent. Did you tell them on IRC that you were using an Amiga?
Did I say it on IRC? I'm not sure, but I did. I shouted all over social media anyway. I put screenshots up, you know.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good one.
Okay, let's go on to the news.
Okay, first up, if you've been following the A1200.net Kickstarter project, the keycaps for them are finally in production. They have a post on their Kickstarter page about it, and you can see the trip to China they made, examining different keys and, you know, fine-tuning and polishing the end result. So you get basically a perfect replica keycap, and they've really looked the business, and I know people have been waiting on these for quite a while. They'll be worth the wait by the looks of things, but yeah, they look fantastic, and especially with the Kickstarter case, they're just going to be brilliant.
Very good. Commodore, the Inside Story by David Pleasance is available to buy. As previously mentioned, I was Kickstarter backer, so I got my book a bit earlier. The good news is there are some places where you can actually buy the book, and one of those places is downtimepublishing.com. If you like history, Commodore archaeology, take a look down there and order the book.
And I have found a new podcast, sort of a podcast, it's a bit more than that. It's called 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, and it's a new Amiga show that is viewable on your Amiga if you've got the right. The website for this is 10mark.com, and it's a series of practical projects that you can do on your Amiga, such as playing video or listening to the podcast itself on your Amiga, and he works through it really nice and hands-on for anyone who's into that kind of thing.
I haven't actually looked into that yet, but I've seen some positive comments on it from the last episode.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been an update to NetSurf to the 68K port of NetSurf. That's, I think, pretty much the only chance you'll get of running a CS browser on a classic Amiga. So it's really, you know, as you can imagine, needs the full grunt of a Vampire or emulation, to be honest, because you know, it's an 030 is not going to cut it. But it's you know, it's good to see that it's being developed nonetheless. And the new update sorts out some new CSS stuff and another few small but important there. But yeah, if you have a powerful enough classic system, then that's well worth the download.
FPGA SID is in the making. You can have a look at www.fpgasid.de, and that's an interesting thing because SID is a music chip that's been sitting, not sitting, but sitting in C64. But there's one thing, they die very quick, and they are in huge demand. And a lot of people have been browsing and looking to buy them. Even the fake ones can sometimes achieve, like a huge amount of money if it comes to buying. But, this idea of putting a SID into the FPGA is really great, and I've seen and I've heard some demos regarding this particular SID. Sounds really well. I look forward to buying one, actually, because you can actually emulate both SIDs, the old one and the new one. You can have a dual SID as well. So this is great. The price probably will be high as well, but if you like Commodore 64, if you like SID music, I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Excellent. It's good to see that that's being done as well, because I know there were sort of like people were using SIDs for projects, standalone projects outside the C64. They were harvesting them from C64s, which is a bit of a shame. So it's good to see this now.
There's a Swedish, I think, thing called SIDbox or HADSID or something like that, and
there is a SID box.
And they create loops, so it's been used in pop music. For example,
synthesizers,
synthesizers and Timbaland. This guy is famous for using SID and the samples taken from SID music demo scene.
Amiga Live has been released at 0.95 version, and you can get that at amigalive.com now. And in case you don't know what that is, Amiga Live is basically an all-in-one Amiga emulator, so you can run this on your Mac or your Windows PC or your Linux machine, and you can play Amiga games in it without any configuration. Just download it and run it. But it takes things a whole step further by letting you play people online, so you could play Alien Breed 2-player and the other person somewhere else in the world, and it's a really great idea. John Kayanis is the guy responsible for that, and the latest release has some user interface changes and some fixes for different controllers. So you can use your USB gamepad and joystick and stuff like that with it.
That's cool, and that reminds me, I just modded a USB controller for a friend so he could play Sensible Soccer on a Raspberry Pi with a zip stick. So that'd be ideal for that kind of thing as well.
That is fantastic. Jeez. Every Amigan should live near Rob.
I will if you're listening. Okay, what's next? Oh, this is a big one. There's been an alpha release of the Gold 3 core for the Vampire boards. Now, this is a big one because the one they've been working towards that has AGA support in it. And so essentially it's giving you AGA compatibility on board. So it lets you use the AGA software and AGA grid modes and that on an Amiga 600, which is very impressive stuff. Like I said, it's an alpha version yet, so still a lot of work to be done on it. And this current core doesn't have the RTG or FPU parts in it. So if that's something you use, you'll have to switch cores to try it and switch back again. Yeah, there's plenty out there on it. I'm sure you can find it. Big release for them.
Nice, very nice. Apart from Amiga 600, you can also use it in Amiga 500 and 2000.
Sorry, yes, of course, yeah. Sorry. I often forget that it's in 500 as well. I associate it with the 600 because there's so many with 600s with it.
Another big release that really took me by surprise just about 2 or 3 days ago there was Amiga OS 3.1.4 for 68K machines has been released. The full statement is on Hyperion-Entertainment.com. But basically, the new update can either be installed as a software update, as Workbench, like floppies, which you can just download. And there's also a ROM chip that you swap in to give you a few more benefits. So this has support for Vampire. They've been working with the Apollo core team to make that happen. It's got large file system support, which is something that's interesting to a lot of people, I think, as part of the FF file system update. There's updates to Disk Doctor, the preferences editor, the shell supports the long file names, which is a nice one, as well as pipes, soft links and hard links. And another one that I'm really interested in is PCL printer drivers, because I have a HP printer here and I cannot print from my Amiga, and I would use it way more if I could. And there's an optional new icon set included, and the software, the digital download, costs €25, and it's available now.
Yeah, it's excellent. I point out that there's the ROM images available, but you can't actually buy physical chips yet. So that's probably coming down the line a little bit. But for now, you'll need to have someone with a chip burner to put it on a chip for you.
Smart ROM chip as well, if you've got, like for Blizzard cards.
Yeah. And the ACAs, yeah.
It's, in my opinion, even better because it speeds everything up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a big update. There's a lot of stuff under the hood, as they say, has been updated, and it's well worthwhile.
To be honest, in my opinion, it brings a lot of mess, to say the least, because we've got 3.1, we've got Workbench 3.1 from Colanto as well, we've got 3.5, we've got 3.0, we've got all the Boeing bags, from 1 to 4, and now it's released. But I think this one is legit, to be honest. And
it is strange because this is obviously much newer than 3.9.
It is much newer.
And contains and a lot of the parts are made by, are coded by people who also worked on 3.9. So a lot of the same features have been implemented and re-implemented for 3.1. It's an interesting one. But there is a script available as well on AmiNet for installing this on top of 3.9. Right. And what it'll do is it'll keep a lot of 3.1 stuff intact, but let you also benefit from the 3.1.4 stuff.
Oh my god, it sounds like a game of Jenga.
Yeah, it can be all right, but it's a funny one because I probably will stick it on ROMs for my own machines, but I think I'll leave it for a little while until there's a sort of until I have a real need for it, to be honest, because I'm happy enough with 3.9 in my machines. It's really, if I was going to be sort of working on a slightly lower end machine, that this would probably be more suitable. But yeah, I probably will eventually put it in the 3.9 machines and come up with some sort of mongrel version of the OS for it. Yeah,
even more tinkering with the OS.
Well, that's the
yeah,
fun bit,
I
really?
like it a lot, to be honest. My 3.1 is so patched, it works very well. On my O30 and on my O60, I've got two partitions with 3.1 and 3.9, depending on my mood. Whatever I want, whatever I need, or whatever I want to use.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's
actually.
right.
It's, with hard disk space being so cheap, there's no reason not to have. You could have half a dozen different.
I think on
I know.
I think that's on a SD card or CF card that is like 32 gigabytes, even 16 gigabytes. You can put all the Amiga, if I'm not mistaken,
in the world. Yeah.
And even future ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, last of the news section here. Stephen Jones's Checkmate A1500 Plus case, which has been on Kickstarter for the last while, has only just today, as we're recording this, passed its goal. So that's brilliant. It's been funded. It's at like 101% or 102% of the target. So that's close to £80,000 sterling that he's raised to put the case into production, which is brilliant. And if you haven't seen it, it's basically it's a new computer case that's based on the Amiga 2000 top design. So it's just the pizza box style, with the option for a keyboard garage. So it has optional risers on the sides for putting a small keyboard underneath. It also supports PC motherboards or the sort of micro ATX or is it micro ATX motherboards. So you can build a full PC in it as well if you wanted, or you can put a 500, 600, or 1200 in it. So that's it. So I'm working on some of the boards for inside that. So I'm going to have to start looking into that as well myself. But yeah, it's great. It's great that it's after getting its goal. It's fantastic.
Congratulations! That was a really good idea to release something like that, and the casing looks it's pretty stylish in my opinion. It's got this feeling from A1000, 1000 and A3000, which is really, really nice. owners probably sold it to someone because it looks pretty alright. There's a surprise down there. It brings the feeling of anticipation and curiosity. Who's got it? And what's gonna happen next, to be honest, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, have you seen it, guys?
I saw it, yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I wonder if they actually sold it, or if they just didn't renew it and someone nipped in there and got it at the right time.
It's not the style of Amiga.Inc.
Oh.
Even the font is more polished and stylish, and the colors are better. Everything's better and looks better, and the message is better as well. And I think...
And it's not written in Backbone.
Yeah, it's not written in Backbone, yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, I just went down and, got myself, surprised that, what? Really? Okay.
Well done, Luke. Well, I have discovered something interesting about burning images for CD32 if you're using a Linux machine. So some of the images, especially the older ones, the compilations, they're available as .q files rather than ISOs. And they are difficult to work with on Linux. The applications don't handle them very well. There's Bracero Unknown and there's the one on KDE. But anyway, neither of them handle these queues properly anyway. So I found an application that does do it well. It's called IMG Burn. And this is actually a Windows application, but it works perfectly on Linux using Wine. So once you use the lowest CD, the burning speed available, you'll be fine. They recommend even using 1-speed burning. Now, the burners on modern laptops often aren't able to go any slower than 10, right? They're like German motorways. So I burned at 10 and I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not, but it worked fine. So we have lots of compilations. We've got about 5 CDs full of games in the museum now, which is fantastic.
Often the advice that says burn it at 1 speed is kind of old. it's old advice is kind of that it has served well over the years, but it dates from a time when you could buy 1-speed CDs. But nowadays, blank CDs won't burn that low and burners won't go that low, and it's essentially, it amounts to the same thing. It's just, if you can burn it at the lowest speed that your disk is capable of, it'll work well. If the slowest your drive goes is 10 speed, and you have that go from 1 to 20 speed, let's say, it's not going to give you a good image. But if your disk goes from 10 to 30 speed, then 10 speed is a good speed to burn at. So it depends on basically the media, and going at the slowest speed the media supports.
Okay, good to know. And another discovery, now this is completely new to me, AHX, which stands for Abyss's Highest Experience Format, is an audio format for Amiga. One thing I really missed moving from C64 to the Amiga were the SID files. They were absolutely tiny. The SID files, they generated different waves and manipulated those. So there was something really cool about that. And while the mod files were really kind of advanced in the way that they included the samples and stuff like that, there was something special about the SID files too. So these are basically SID for Amiga. They basically create fundamental waveforms, and the tool for creating this music gives you a lot of options for ways to manipulate them. And there are more things you can do than you could do, say, with a tracker on samples. So there are players available for lots of platforms: Windows, Linux, Mac, Amiga OS, BOS even. And there's some great collections of music you can download and have a listen to. Some very different to the mods. And there's a link to those in the notes. And that's my discovery.
That's cool. I'm going to add one in here. It's not strictly Amiga related, but just because you mentioned BOS there, Haiku, which is the open source continuation of BOS, has just been released in the last couple of days. It has first beta release. So it's been in alpha for 10 years now, I'd say. But yeah, only in the last couple of days it's reached beta, and it's a really interesting OS for PCs if you have a spare one lying around, or if that's your kind of thing. It's well worth looking at, because there are some things that are quite Amiga-like about it. For example, it's the only other OS I know where if you have a file requester open, you can swap it to the current directory just by dragging the directory from your desktop into it. And there are little touches like that are like, yes, this is I wish all mainstream OSs had these features. So there's some nice little things. There's a system similar to data types as well. What we were talking about earlier, the ROM of 3.1.4 will also have this updated file system and device driver in it. That's key because it means you don't have to have the first partition below 4 gigabytes. You can have the first partition wherever you want, whatever size you want. That's one of the key advantages to using that update on a ROM, or if you've got an accelerator that supports the flash ROM as well.
Okay, thanks for explaining that, Rob. I'm probably going to cause some damage now, but I'm going to go and get busy with all that. Thanks, Rob. And if anybody has a technical question for Rob, you can send it to info@amigausers.ie. So that's it for this month. We're going to finish out with a song by Tom Waxam from his Kickstart album, and the song is called Chipset. And thanks to George Sokianos for the idea. He uses it on his YouTube channel in one of his videos, and I just thought it was a lovely song. And please leave us a review on iTunes. Dad19166, thanks for your review. Not my dad, by the way. Thank you for leaving a review, and if you're listening, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us be more discoverable. So that's it until next month. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Cool.
We got you for the whole thing.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
made it. We made it.